Alright, so this is a pretty common theme I've been seeing lately, especially with the new fast vault mechanic for these windows. And honestly, it's just been like this since the dawn of the Huntress, basically. But we're going to be taking a look. People seem to think that the Huntress's hitboxes are like absolutely ridiculously insane. And when in reality, it's not the hitboxes of her hatchet. One, it's the hitboxes of the character model. And two, it's the internet connection for most people. Now, we can see right here. Let's see. When I put him over here. Alright, right here. That's, You know, that's pretty far away. That one's, it's more reasonable. That's probably like about an extra half a foot on each side. And then let's go through here, let him heal up, and then we'll throw one over the top, and right there. I mean, that's, you know, these hitboxes are not crazy by any means. They are not huge. They're not nearly as big as everybody makes them out to be, in all honesty. But we do throw a couple more here, and I mean, look at how close these are. And none of these hits, this hit right here, is not outrageous by any means. That is a perfectly reasonable hitbox for somebody who... Alright, we got him crouching, looking straight ahead, and watch this. Like, look at that. That's right above his shoulders. I mean, you have your character, right? And you have their shoulders. And take a quarter of the character. So split David into 4 pieces, his shoulders being a piece, and then his torso being 2 pieces. So add basically an extra shoulder width on each side. The hitboxes for the Huntress are not outrageous at all. They're actually very reasonable. To be honest, the biggest problem is it's the internet connection of either the Huntress or the Survivor. If your internet is trash, and I would know because for the longest time I had the worst internet. Like literally to download a 1 gigabyte update for a game, I think took me like 30 to 40 minutes. And I played a couple matches as Huntress, and I got some insane shots off. Insane shots. Like I'm not talking like a shoulder width. I'm talking like 8 people apart. You know what I mean? So it's a combination of that and the combination of the fact that the character's hitboxes. So while David is slouched over, his hitbox is still straight up and down. So when you have a character who's hurt and running, the hitbox is still the same exact spot. That's where you get the really outrageous hits. Now there's a couple things you could do. You could modify the hitbox to match the hunched over Survivor, which I mean wouldn't be bad. It's actually very confusing for new Huntress players when they try to throw it at the slouching part and they throw it too far to the right, and even though it literally, the hatchet clips through the model's face, it doesn't count because the hitbox is back here, up and down, and you threw it too far to the right. Whereas you know you have a half a foot on each side normally, so you should have a half a foot in front while you're leading him. You don't actually, because the hitbox is straight up and down. So the injured survivors who are running is the second spot where people get hit the most. So in all honesty, you can see these hitboxes. These hitboxes are not outrageous at all. They are not crazy. They actually did make the hitboxes smaller, and her kill rates absolutely plummeted. You gotta think, okay, survivors get third person. That is insane. Okay, that's an insane advantage. They have third person. Killers are first person, okay? It's give and take. You have to give and take. Okay, the Huntress can injure you from range. Okay, she's a slower movement speed killer. She takes forever to catch up to get an M1. She drops back to 70% movement speed when she's readying a hatchet. That is the slowest movement speed in the entirety of Dead by Daylight, barring fatigue. Obviously, fatiguing Nurse, fatiguing Blight, they move, I don't even know what they move, like 10% maybe. They're really slow. But she is the absolute slowest killer in the game when she's holding a hatchet, with not including fatigues. So you have a killer who can injure people. She has a 5 hatchet base up to an 8 hatchet max with add-ons. She takes 3 seconds to charge a hatchet to max. She drops all the way back to 70% when she's charging a hatchet. She's like 7'8", so it's damn near impossible to mind game people with her. And yeah, I think she has the right to have an extra foot on each side of you to hit you. That's not outrageous by any means at all. I mean, like let's look at the Trickster. Now let's compare her to the Trickster. Okay. I'm assuming the Trickster's hitboxes are what you want on the Huntress. All right, let's look at this right here. All right, here you go. Look at how close we're getting. Look at how close this is. Is this what you want the Huntress's hitboxes to be like? Because I mean, this in my opinion is almost insane. Like, look at how close some of these are. Like, they are literally zipping by him. These are insane, these hitboxes on these knives. I didn't even know they were this small, to be honest. Now I don't really feel as bad missing as many knives as I do. But there's a reason why the hitboxes for his knives are so small. 1, knives are smaller. 2, he has 48 knives or 44 knives base kit, so he can throw them fast as hell. 3, he moves at a 98% movement speed. Or I mean, yeah, 98% movement speed when he begins throwing his knives, and he drops all the way back to 92 at his max throw rate. So I feel like people are complaining way too hard about the Huntress's hitbox when her hitboxes are not that crazy at all. And really, her hitboxes are crazy if you're injured, which I mean is a decent amount of the game. And even then, it's not that the hitboxes on her hatchet's crazy. It's the hitbox on the survivor is just not. It's not right. Because yeah, I just kind of wanted to compare these two and show you guys that. I mean, people just seem to think that you can just throw a hatchet wherever you feel like, and you're gonna get a hit as long as it's within like 30 feet of the survivor. But that's just not the case. These hitboxes for these hatchets, they're really honestly I think Huntress's hitbox for hatchets are beyond fair. I think they're perfectly reasonable. Could they be more realistic? Absolutely, they could be more realistic. But if you're gonna go ahead and make Huntress's hitboxes more realistic, how about you make the game more realistic and make survivors first person? If we're going for realism, how about you make every hatchet be an insta down and an insta kill? Actually, if we're going for realism here, you can't just pick and choose what you want. You know what I mean? I guess you can, honestly. It's kind of just ridiculous, you know what I mean? It's kind of gone on a rant here just because it's like Huntress really isn't that hard to beat. Like, there are very few good Huntresses. She has a really high pick rate, and I think that's because of her lethality capability. But and as long as you and the killer have a good internet connection, you should be dodging hatchets pretty easily. I could hop into a match right now against a Huntress and dodge at least half of her hatchets, if not more. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to talk about this real quick because I see people complain about her hatchets so much, and what kind of sparked this off all is the new fast vault animation. The survivors vault further and faster now. And they vault faster because the amount of time they vault is the exact same, but they go further. So it's definitely a speed increase because they cover more distance. But this also, it's a nerf to M1 killers, but it is also a nerf to Huntress now too, because they get through the window faster and they get more distance from it. So spots where you would be chasing somebody around shack, readying up a hatchet, and you know as soon as you get through that doorway, you let it fly, you'd get the hit. Well, now there's a pretty good chance you don't get the hit anymore, and you know, it is what it is. I'm not really stressing about that much. And you know, it is what it is. I really don't care. I pretty much avoid shack. If all 4 survivors run to shack and just chill at shack, I probably just wouldn't do anything. I'd probably just stand at the shack window and just like mess around with them, you know. I don't like running shack now with the new window vaults. I mean, I'll still try it here or there, but I'll only do like 1 or 2 vaults. But yeah. Yeah, so I just want to talk about this real quick. Her hatchet hitboxes are not crazy at all. There's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of cap. And I just wanted to make this video real quick on these hitboxes. And yeah, that's it.